Hi guys, I hope everyone is well. In today's video, I'm going to take you through how you connect Zoho CRM to Claude by Anthropic to be able to use AI with your CRM. Now, we're using Claude in this example, but the concepts here apply across most of the different AI platforms, including ChatGPT as well. So you can see here I am in my CRM, I've got loads of data in here, it's all test data, it's our test system, there's lots of leads and contacts, accounts, etc. And all of that works as usual. I've then, in my separate tab here, set up a copy of Claude by Anthropic. Again, this is what we use internally. It's actually, from talking to Zoho, what Zoho use internally. Now, what's great about Claude is it allows you to connect lots of different apps, including Zoho, and there's lots of different things you can then do with those apps, which I'm going to take you through in just a moment. Now, before we get started, a quick note on compliance issues with Claude. Now, obviously, if you're using Claude, you are passing your CRM data to someone outside of Zoho. Now, depending on the Claude subscription you have will depend what they can and can't do with that data. Depending on whether you're on a Teams version or not will also have an impact on whether or not Claude is able to train on your data. If you're a business, for the most part, I'd recommend that you use their Teams plan, as that includes some additional things around compliance that's able to ensure your data is kept secure. You'll see, in fact, on the Teams page, it says no training on your content by default. That's really, really key. Ultimately, you don't want to be passing your long list of leads into Claude for it to then use that in its training model. So I'd certainly recommend being on the Teams plan. If you're in a really compliant, tight industry, there is also a service by Amazon called Amazon Bedrock. What Bedrock allows you to do is actually host your own copy of an AI platform. What that means is instead of connecting with Claude and using Claude servers, I think mostly in the US, instead you can set up your own Amazon account, host your own Claude server then within the UK within your own Amazon account. This is particularly good for people in the healthcare and legal industries where there are very strict rules around what you can and can't do with data. So it's worth knowing that just because you're in those industries, it doesn't mean you can't use AI. It just might mean there's some extra steps to ensure you're achieving the compliance that you need. We'll keep things simple today though. We're going to do this within our Claude test here. And the first thing we're going to do within Claude is sign in, and then we're going to go into customize. When we go into customize, we're going to go into connectors, and you'll see I've already got one connector here, but we're going to then go in and hit the plus, and we're going to browse connectors. Now, there are absolutely loads of connectors in here that do all sorts of different things. The ones that I'd recommend doing if you're going to use Claude seriously as a business is one, connecting your email, whether that's Microsoft or Gmail. So in my case, that would be Microsoft. And two, connecting your CRM. So to do that, we're going to search for Zoho. And you'll see there's a number of Zoho apps that have out-of-the-box connectors, including CRM, but we've also got Books and Desk, Projects, Analytics, and Vanti. Vanti is actually quite a new thing in Zoho 1. If you're not aware of it, it's like a whiteboarding app. We're going to go in and do Zoho CRM. So we're going to hit the plus button, and it's going to ask us to choose our instance. Now, for the most part, you probably know this, but if I go into the CRM, it's all based on what's after the URL. So in my case, I'm crm.zoho.eu. That means I'm in the EU data center. If it's .com, that means you're in the .com data center, the US data center. Now, particularly if you're in the UK, this gets confusing because if you've had Zoho for quite a long time in the UK, you're likely to be on the US data center, not on the Europe data center, because the Europe data center is more recent. Interestingly, a UK data center is coming later this year as well. So I'm going to select Europe and hit continue. It will then say complete the step, and it should launch a new tab, which it has. I'm going to hit allow. And at that point, it'll ask me where I'm connecting it to. In this case, I've got my live system and I've got a sandbox. So I'm going to choose the live system and hit submit. It will then show me a list of all of the things that Claude's able to do. Now, this looks scary because there's a lot of stuff in here, including things like delete. Don't worry, we're going to go through all of this in a minute. So for now, I'm going to go in and hit allow and accept. Now, if you don't have access to do it, it's likely down to your individual user permissions not allowing you to connect third-party apps to the CRM. In that case, you'll need to contact an admin to either do it for you or to update your permissions to allow that connection. Now, once that's done, you can go into CRM And this is where we can understand what it can do. So it's going to list us all of the different things it can do. And what we can see is the read-only tools, by default, are approval needed. I'm going to say if you're going to read data, you can just always allow. You haven't got to ask my permission, you can just do it. The write and delete tools, this is then again where I can do something different. So I'm going to say for the most part, you can just do it. But I'm just going to go in and anything that's delete, I'm going to say you've got to ask me for. Because actually, if you're deleting something, I probably want to know about it. So there we go. Most things it can just get on and do, but anything that needs to delete, it's got to ask me for. I could even outright block it as well. If I want to completely remove that, I can actually block it and actually prevents Claude even kind of knowing that it can do that, if that makes sense. So I'm going to, for now though, say you can ask me. Now when I go back to my chat, I can now say things like, how many leads did I get today? And it's then going to use that connection to Zoho to start pulling up how many leads I got today. So in fact, it knows, it says you have Zoho CRM connected. Let me look up today's leads for you. And it's going to search for those leads and it's going to say you've got 64 leads today. And in fact, it's going to give me a breakdown of those leads as well. So really easily, I can see where those leads have come from. And in fact, it's even given me the time. Super simple example there. I really like that. Okay, so let's now ask it to, what companies did these leads come from? So I can ask it follow-up questions. And it's intelligent enough to know. It can look back at the 64 and it's going to start giving me the companies. Here we go, it's going to list them out. And again, this is mostly all fake data, so there might be some real company names, but there's not real people in there. And we've got 5 unknown. I might also be able to say, what deals moved forward today? And again, it's able to query the CRM and pull out that data. This is particularly nice if you're a manager within a company and you have these odd questions, and sometimes I do it lying awake at night thinking, what deals came in this week, or what do I need to follow up on? This automatically can do that. There we go. So 104 deals were touched in total, and it can give me a breakdown in there as well. So lots of things it can do in terms of reading data. It can also put data into CRM as well. So I've gone to a website here. This just creates fake data for me, and I'm going to get rid of some of this. I'm just going to say just have names, first name, last name, email, and I'm going to say that a percentage of these are going to not have a first name. I'm going to say 20% doesn't have a first name, and let's just generate 40. I'm going to generate data, and it's going to give me a list. And the reason I do this is actually quite often, like, clients will go to events and you get a bit of a messy list of contacts. What this allows us to do is kind of replicate what that might look like. And we'll just give that a moment to open. Just give it a second. Excel always seems to take longer than you expect to open. Here we go. Let me drag it across here. There we go. And I can now see my different companies here. So for the most part, it's all in here. Some of them don't have first names. We've got the emails. I can now go into Claude and I can now say, take that, and say add these as leads. Marketing. Perfect. So I'm just going to tell it to add these as leads from an event today about B2B marketing. It's then able to look through those leads, and it's then able to go into the CRM and create our leads. So if I actually go into the leads view and look at today's leads, right now we've got 64, which I think is what it told us further up here. Where was it? Yeah, it told us we had 64. What we should see in just a second is it should go through and create the rest. So it's just thinking about how it's going to do it. It looks like it's creating them. Might take a second for it to do it, and then we'll see those leads come through. Now, the nice thing about this isn't that you can't import things directly into CRM, but to import things directly at CRM, you need to know how to do it. And particularly if you've got a large sales team trying to teach everyone remembering how to do it or following the correct guide, it sometimes can be a challenge. This gives you the ability to actually just talk to the system, and it will then go through and it will start adding things. So there we go. It says it's now all done. If I refresh, what we should see now is 104 leads. Now we'll notice none of those 40 have company names, despite the fact we've got their email. So I'm now going to ask it to, can you add the company names based on the email? And the nice thing about AI is it doesn't matter that's not perfectly written, but it'll work it out. So it's asking, does it want to use Apollo? It seems a bit set on using Apollo today. I'll probably remove that connect next time I demo. What I'm going to say is, no, just work it out from the email. And what it should be able to do is look at each of those leads. It should be able to see what the company is. Here we go, like it is doing now. Okay, it's like a little cheerleader to us, Claude. So we think our ideas are the best, which is nice. And what we should see in just a moment is it's going to go through and fill out those company names. And this is where the real power is, because the importer tool in Zoho can do the import bit for us. It couldn't do this bit for us. So we would have to sit and do this manually. Whereas now, all of those have company names. What I might now say is, okay, look, we've got some people from Engadget. So I'm going to say, create a deal for Engadget and convert all leads for that company. So what it should be able to do now is find those Engadget leads. In fact, you can say I've got both of them. It's going to create a deal. As I say, I don't see directly. So what do you want me to do? Which is fine. So I want it to do option 2. I want it to convert the 2 leads and then make a deal. Would you like the deal amount set to 2,000? Sure. Probably helps if I read all of these sometimes, but obviously I'm trying to go through it so I can give you a good demo. And it's now going to go through and it's going to create that deal in the CRM. And it's going to take a second, but there we go. It's got it. It's got the pipeline. So it's going to start converting them. What I'll do is I'll open one of these up so we can see it as it gets converted in just a moment. Here we go. So it says they've now been converted. So if I refresh, what's it done? Has it not quite got this one right? The curse of AI is it's not always 100%. Doesn't seem like it's quite got this one. Let's give it a test though. Let's see if we can actually get it to delete this lead. Can you delete? And you see this time, because it's trying to delete, it's actually popped up and it asked us. So I can either always allow, I can allow once, or I can deny. I'm going to deny it, and that will actually then prevent it being able to delete it. So it shows you that control and flexibility that you have within the system. Now, this is just a really basic view of what you can do within the CRM and what you can do with interacting with your data, but there's obviously a lot more that's possible as well. This is really just an introduction. Some of the other things you can do are stuff like after a meeting, you could give it your note transcript. So let's say you have a load of notes about your meeting with this particular person. You can give it to Claude and say, hey, Claude, update this lead in the CRM with my notes and create any tasks related to the notes. And it automatically can go ahead and do that. Or another thing we've been doing internally is before I go into a meeting, before I go into a sales meeting, I'll ask Claude to review the CRM and pull up any notes to give me a briefing before I go into that meeting. So then even if it's someone I've maybe not spoken to for the last year, because maybe we've not had a conversation since then, I go into that meeting knowing exactly where we were at because Claude was able to brief me with the notes. That's particularly useful if you've got a note recorder on your meetings as well. We use Fireflies for that. So all of our meeting notes are captured automatically. And again, then Claude has access to that to be able to do stuff within our CRM. I plan to do more videos like this. So if you have any questions or have anything in specifically you want me to cover, just let me know. But otherwise, have a good day. Bye.